Brighton's finest.
Jeff Hemmings.
Jeff Hemmings.
This is
Juice 107.2.
Brighton's finest.
Cosmo Sheldrake just come into the Juice Studios prior to his gig at the Haunt in Brighton tonight. It's part of a UK tour. I think it's your first date, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, and we were just talking off air. You were based down here for a few years.
Yeah, for 4 years, yeah.
Yeah, and what brought you down here in the first place, and why did you leave?
Good questions. Well, I guess I went to Sussex University, so that was the original draw, and then that took 3 years, and then I stuck around for another year, and then I don't know, it just felt like time to go, really. I absolutely loved being here, but just slowly but surely people started peeling out, and I don't know, just I grew up in London, so I guess I needed some of the bigness of it again.
Sure. Okay. Well, so I guess tonight will be quite a good show for you, won't it, in terms of the fact that you used to live here, and I should imagine there'll be a few friends and people coming along to the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've still got a good amount of friends here.
Yeah. So what is your stage setup then for the tour?
I use a loop pedal, and then a couple of samplers just powered by my computer through Logic, and then a little delay and reverb thing for vocal effects, and a glockenspiel, and then just a handful of little percussion instruments and little toys and ocarinas and things.
It's just you?
Yeah.
It's just you doing all of that?
Well, I mean, I must admit, a lot of that I have done in the past, and I'm triggering it back. So, yeah.
Sure. Okay, fantastic. Have you ever played with a band before?
Yeah, I was with a band called Gentle Mystics. Well, I mean, still technically are. We're just on a hibernation point.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's 10 of us in that. And,
okay.
So that, for years, that was quite an unwieldy force.
Yeah, sure. Much easier to sort of manage yourself, isn't it?
Well, I think that's part of the reason why I bounced the other way. Yeah. After years of trying to get 10 people in one room and unified on ideas, it was easier to just do it myself, really.
So the new album is coming out on Friday, The Much How and I, released on Transgressive Records, and there's been some great tracks that have already been out and about, and so it must be quite exciting for you in the lead up to the album, I guess, or just, I mean, it's only 2 days away now, isn't it?
It is.
Obviously the public haven't heard it, so you know it inside and out, but it's, as people have said to me before, it's like showing your baby to the world, as it were.
It is, yeah, and it's a kind of strange period in between, because, in a lot of ways the music's been done finished, mixed since June. So yeah, it's this long kind of pregnant pause that you're just sitting on something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exciting. For me, mainly just to get it off my chest and be able to kind of move on in some ways.
Sure. And will the sets on the tour revolve largely around the new album? Yeah,
I mean, it must be said that a lot of the new album I haven't yet figured out how to perform live, just because of the fact that it is so there's a lot of different instruments and sounds going on, and they're performing with a loop pedal. You're slightly constricted to things of a loop-based manner, but the album songs don't necessarily. But I decided that when making the record to not limit myself to something that I could perform and just follow my imagination wherever it went. So yeah, I'm kind of working on them. I've got a few of them under my belt for sure. But also I do a lot of improvisation when I perform, so it's always kind of balanced a bit by that. But.
Okay, brilliant.
Brighton's finest.
Bringing the artists closer to you.
You come from a very musical family and also an academic family, don't you? Your father is Rupert Sheldrake, who's quite well known in the world of biology, and I think you were learning instruments, or learning to play instruments at quite a young age, weren't you?
Yeah, I started playing the piano when I was 4.
4?
Yeah, mainly out of jealousy of my brother, who's older than me, and he started when he was 5. So,
right, okay.
I was like, I want to do that. So I started the piano when I was 4, and then it wasn't really until I was about 17, 18 that I started playing other instruments, really. Kind of frustration with the piano's lack of portability. So yeah, I started playing the banjo when I actually moved to Brighton. I just started playing the banjo, and then it swelled from there, really.
Okay, so tell me about how a track comes about, because obviously there's a lot going on in some, and particularly some of the songs. There's an incredible amount going on, loads of instruments and layered up, and just loads of stuff basically. And it is just basically you. Although I know you have some guests on the hour, people helping you out.
Yeah.
But how do you? What are the seeds of an idea? How does it kind of materialise from a seed to the fully blown production?
Well, it very much changes with every tune, really. So it depends. Some some things start from just an idea I've got of, for example, one seed of a thing that hasn't yet happened. I just had the idea that I wanted to make a piece of music where every sound source was moving. So recording someone running past you in the street and then throwing a ping pong ball past a mic. So sometimes it will come from a kind of conceptual place where it's just, that would be fun to explore. Or other times an image and very often a sound. So say something I've recorded or a field recording of some kind. And often I'll chop them up and put sounds into a sampler and start messing around, and then some rhythmic or melodic idea will kind of arise. And a lot of it's quite accidental as well. I mean, some things just... That's why I like working with field recordings, because...
Are these field recordings that you actually go out and record yourself? Or?
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And some of them from archives or from on the record. There's a few recordings from a field recordist called Bernie Krause, who very kindly lent me some of his sounds. And so yeah, a number of places really. But you always get something that you can't fully predict when you start from something like that, rather than just sitting down at a piano. And
sure.
I often find myself just going round and round in circles if I do that. So,
yeah.
So I find it as a really nice fertile ground to start with something.
Okay. What about the title of the album? Can you talk about that? Why you've called it The Much, Much How, and I?
Well,
if that's not a stupid question.
That's a very good question. It came from a friend of mine who's this amazing poet called Nadia Cheney, and I used to do a lot of youth work with this organisation called Pi Global, and I was in Washington State doing a kind of facilitation training course, and Nadia was leading it, and she'd come up with this workshop called Oracular Poetry, which is based quite a lot on that kind of William Burroughs cut-up poetry style, where we free wrote on any subject, stream of consciousness, for 3 minutes, and occasionally changing coloured pens, and then we chopped all the letters up, all the words up, and then gave them to our neighbour, and the neighbour then glued them back down in any way, shape or form, and gave you back this poem, which in some way was meant to reflect or shine a light on something that you were writing about in the first place.
The cut and paste method, as they called it. Yeah.
So the very last lines of the poem that my friend gave back to me from my own words was the much, much how, and I. And yeah, it was years ago now, but it just hit me. I was thinking that would make a very good album title. Yeah. But I don't know. I like it because it somehow like gets towards the sort of the muchness of everything, the kind of howness or whiness of everything, and then the I is this kind of thing that relates to that. But it both represented the way in which I came about making the music through this kind of cut and paste method. But also I just like the sentiment of just this image really of just this muchness, the kind of howness and whiness, and then the kind of almost lonely individual standing trying to baffle their way through it.
Brighton's finest.
This is Juice.